Welcome to the Glow Show. I'm Eric McClanahan. I am joined, as usual, by AJ Simmons, the author of short stories for people with short attention spans and host of the podcast Crashing the Political Party and some new things on the horizon, I believe.
He's been
What's up,
hanging out with me
AJ?
too much.
What's going on, AJ?
Oh, living the dream like every
Nice.
week.
Also joined, as always, by host of Church Jams Now, producer of this show, and the subject of this episode, Kylan Savage.
Wow. Hello. I don't know what to do. Like, what do I do with my hands? Am I being
It's your
interviewed? I don't know what
it's
to
your
do.
big day.
Yes, finally I can step out from behind the pop filter and actually be would you consider me a guest on this episode?
You're like you remember when like in the 80s when Pete Rose was like the coach and player like
Yes.
that
Oh, I'll
that's
take it.
you.
I'll take
Yeah,
it.
that's I think that's you, coach and player Kylan
Perfect.
Savage.
What if
Perfect.
he doesn't like our questions that we're asking him? Like, as producer, he can be like, no, 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 you can't ask that question, or we're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
cut it from the
Yeah. No, I'm
episode.
just gonna edit most of this out.
Um, so first off, Kylan, I'd like to know. I know some of it, but tell me what things you're passionate about besides music and podcasting. I know you have a case
Oh,
behind you of things that you're
yes.
passionate about, but like talk about that and anything else
Okay.
that you're
Wow.
passionate about.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. And definitely music and podcasting are sort of the two main things, but I'm an avid collector. Um if you're watching on YouTube, you can see behind me, this is my VHS shelf. What you can't see is the other side, which is equally filled. I've got it set up almost like a little video rental store. Oh, and you can't see the ones in front of me. I have all the family films, all the Disney films in front of me. Um, but yeah, I love collecting and cleaning VHS tapes, which is pretty fun. I've got a whole stack of VCRs behind me that I'm in the process of like cleaning up, making HDMI compatible, because obviously I have so much time on my hands, between raising a child and working full time and doing 18,000 podcasts. Um, yeah, I like old stuff. It's weird calling VHS old, but it is at this point. What you can't see also is my collection of um, 60s, 70s, and 80s board games. Collect a lot of old board games, and old country music vinyl. Those are sort of the things that interest me. Besides that, I have ADHD, so I piddle a lot. I have about six woodworking projects just out of frame as well. Um, I started landscaping my yard the other day. Basically, anything that catches my interest for about zero point 0.5 seconds, I'll get really into for about 2 weeks. So my whole life is a testament to ADHD. You can see my comic books. That was a thing for a while. It's just, I mean, I'm gonna stop talking now. Yeah, lots of things.
Very cool. Um, okay, so I guess now we'll get into the segment that we're calling Hear You Me, which the title comes from a Jimmy Eat World song and was suggested by Richard Matthews. So the premise of Hear You Me is a person selects their number one favorite artist, their three favorite albums, and seven favorite songs that are not on those albums. And we put together like an ultimate playlist introduction to the person. We take from their favorite artist, we'll take their favorite album by that artist, along with the other things I mentioned. And
I have to say this
so
this was
go
really
ahead.
hard. This was really hard. So much so, I believe I when I first sent you guys my playlist, I did caveat it by saying this is subject to change. And then
Right.
today, as we're recording tonight, I think I gave a change to at least one of the songs.
That's all
So
right. That's
yeah.
fine. That's not a big deal. Um, so let's talk first about your favorite artist. Um, of who would you say is your favorite artist if somebody asked you?
I gotta go with The National, which I know if you look at me, that's probably the answer you would guess. Um,
Sad dad.
sad dad energy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, the National, they were kind of a late comer for me. Because for the longest time, and we'll get into it more once we get into the other things, but like basically from the time I was 15, I was like, Death Cab is my favorite band, full stop. And the National was one of those bands that like my really cool friends were into, and I never got it. I didn't like it. I was like, this is not for me. I was never big into the sort of like early 2000s like New York hipster garage rock scene, like Strokes, LCD sound system, like that kind of thing. And the National, at least their early stuff, like fully fit into that mold, right? And
Right.
uh it was just not for me. But then Trouble Will Find Me came out, and that hit me at the exact right time. And I was like, oh man, I really love this. Dug back into their catalog a little bit, found some stuff I really loved, and then they've just sort of consistently just hit me exactly where I was emotionally, like with every release. So
Nice. Uh, do you have your playlist pulled up so you can play the clips like you usually do?
I
Because
do. Yes.
I don't know how
Yes.
to do that.
Yeah. No, I got you. I got you.
Okay. Um, so you may have said was it when that album came out? Did you hear it as soon right when it came out? And
Yes.
that was what?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was fully Trouble Will Find Me came out
Twenty
2013.
2013.
2012, 12 or
Yeah.
13, I
I think it was
think.
13.
Yeah, yeah, 2013. Yeah, I remember, so this was right around the time um Spotify was really picking up, right? And I was an early adopter of Spotify because like Pandora and stuff was cool. It was kind of like the radio, but Spotify was one of the first places where you could stream full albums, right? And I've never been just like a song guy. I've always been like a full album person. Um, and I very specifically remember um like no one telling me about it. Like no one else in my life was like into the National at that time. But I had just bought the newest Haruki, or sorry, Haruki Murakami book, which he's my favorite author. He's like a really sort of fantastical fiction author, Japanese author. He's absolutely incredible. Um, but he had just come out with a new book, and I was so broke, but I bought his book like the day it came out, and I was sitting on my front porch. I'm like, I have the rest of the night off. I have tomorrow off. Um, I've got a case of beer. I've got a full pack of American spirits. I'm gonna read this book, but I need something to listen to while I read this book. And Trouble Will Find Me like kind of popped up in my Spotify. I think they were just trying to figure out all the like release radar kind of thing. And I put it on, and I heard the first chords of I Should Live in Salt. And I didn't end up reading the book right away. I listened to the whole album all the way through first, and then I started reading the book. And then it was that album was the only thing I listened to for like 3 months.
Hmm. Nice. Um, so you had heard some of their previous stuff, I guess, and it just didn't connect with you. Does it connect for you now? Now that you've become
Um, some of it does, but like the time, 'cause like their self-titled, which is their first one, and then Sad Songs for Dirty Lovers is their second album. Neither of those like do much for me. Um, there's a couple songs on Sad Songs for Dirty Lovers, but then especially once you get into like Alligator, which was 2005, and then Boxer, uh, both of those albums have a ton of stuff that I love. And then obviously like High Violet is incredible as well. High Violet and Trouble Will Find Me are my two favorites. Um, but there is actually gosh, I think it was 2014. There was a documentary that came out about the National called Mistaken for Strangers, which is a song off of Boxer. And it was sort of about them doing that tour and about a bunch of other stuff. And that really solidified that album for me a lot more. Uh, sorry, I'm trying not to talk too much. I feel like I'm talking a lot.
that's what you're that that's what
uh,
this episode's about, Kylan.
oh, hold on. My headphones died.
Okay.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on. Uh, okay. Can you all talk so I can see if I can hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, yes, I can.
Uh,
I can.
okay.
Okay. Sorry, my headphones died. I gotta add batteries and stuff to it.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Okay. Okay. Uh, with the National, specifically those early albums, like I was saying, I never really connected with that sort of like New York kind of thing, and I feel like that's really what they were trying to do with those first two albums. Um, because they're all like Midwest guys, right? Like they're all
Mhm.
from uh Cincinnati or
Ohio?
no,
Yeah.
Cleveland, Cleveland. Yeah, yeah. And then so it was really like because they were in New York doing those first two albums, like that was kind of their thing. And then really around Alligator, I feel like is when they recognized that that wasn't really their vibe, and then they started kind of doing their own thing. And that's why like from then on is when all their songs really started connecting with me.
Okay. Um, how would you describe their sound to somebody who has never listened to the National?
Oh boy. Um I mean, sad dad indie music is
Okay.
like it's funny, like everyone talks about Matt Berninger's voice as like this really like deep uh raspy growly thing, which it's funny. He doesn't do that on every song. Like it's split, like he does some higher stuff, but um he like if I was to explain it to people, I would be like if Leonard Cohen did a song with Philip Glass, uh, but then was also inspired by Nirvana. I know that that is like so specific, but if people understood that, then they're gonna love the National.
Yeah. So what is it exactly about them that you connect with so much?
Um, I I think for me, it's like I really love a band where everyone is like at the top of their game, and everyone kind of gets a moment to shine. Um, so like I love all of the drums when which honestly was kind of my issue with some of the later national stuff that's been coming out. They don't let their drummer drum enough. Um, but it's funny because the rhythm section, the drummer and the bassist are brothers, and then the two guitarists are brothers as well. Um, so there's something about this band where like everyone is doing like a really great job highlighting themselves, but also lifting up everybody else. Uh, there's a really interesting mix between like ambient, sort of chill music with like some energy and some bite. And I really like Matt Berninger's voice, and I love his lyrics. I feel like he writes in a very like literary way. Like everything almost feels like uh kind of like a short story in a way, but everything is so vague and like vibe guy. Like even if he's talking about a specific situation, I'm not privy to all the details. Like he gives just enough details that you can kind of be like immersed in it without really knowing what's going on. And that's something that I don't know, it just like really speaks to me.
Okay. Do you feel like they are at this point irreplaceable as your favorite band, or could you see you know, I don't know, life changes or, just
Mm.
another great band comes along and kind of replaces them?
Um, at this point, I I don't think that they can be dethroned. Um, and I think it's simply like a matter of volume at this point. So like one of the big things for me, uh, like I was saying, like Death Cab was my favorite band, Death Cab for Cutie. Um, but a lot of the stuff that they've been coming out, like, and they had a huge run, like a big chunk of their discography, I really connect with. But now they're at a point where they're starting to release more and more stuff that I'm not connecting with. Um, which is fully what happened because before Death Cab, it was like Taking Back Sunday, and this is a conversation I've had uh, quite a bit with people, where it's like, what happens when like you're convinced a band is your favorite band, and then they end up having more albums that you don't like than
Right.
ones that you do, even if the ones that you do are like really big for you. But the National has been like very consistent, even in the last couple years, um, to the point where I think that of their discography, and like with the exception of last year, them coming out with like two albums in one year, they don't release music like super frequently. So I feel like as I get older, the amount of music that they're going to release, even if there are some stinkers in there, I don't think it's going to ever outmatch the stuff that I do like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um, so you mentioned Death Cab and Taking Back Sunday. H- would you consider them honorable mentions, like for this, or and
For
who
for
else would
for
and who else
favorite
would you throw in
band,
there? Yeah.
for favorite band, I wouldn't consider Taking Back Sunday.
Okay.
Um, I would consider Death Cab. I mean, they're like one of the albums I have is a Death Cab album. Same with Brand New. Um, and one that didn't come up in my list at all would probably be Manchester Orchestra, but they're in that like weird sort of like tenuous place that Death Cab is, where like they're starting to release stuff that I'm not connecting with as much.
Mhm.
So it's like they're kind of right on the line.
Okay. Um, so for the playlist, I asked you to pick one album by your favorite band to put on there.
Yes.
Um, Tell us the album you chose and why you chose it.
Trouble Will Find Me. Everything I just talked about before. It just like it's the first national that I really connected with. I think if I look, hold on, let me look briefly. Where is it? Okay, if I look at my national top 10 list, one, two, three, 50% of it is from this album.
Mm.
Specifically, like I said, I mentioned I Should Live in Salt, which is the first track. You hear those acoustic guitars and that weird, like, woodwind in
Mhm.
there. I'm like, what is happening? It's in a weird
Yeah.
time signature. It's perfect. Uh, this album, front to back, all bangers. If I was to do the in Everglow treatment of this, all 5 stars, all 9.9, like fully bangers, dude. I
Nice.
if I ever put this album on or one of the songs just randomly comes on, I have to stop and listen to the full album.
For what it's worth, this is easily my favorite national album as well. Like it's
It's the
front to
best.
back.
It's the
It's my
best.
favorite. Like I think I heard High Violet first, and about
Yeah.
half of it I really liked, half of it
Mm.
I didn't quite connect with. And then when this one came out, I was like, yeah, okay, this is good
Yeah,
stuff.
no, I think that it's like the quintessential national album. I think it's
Yeah,
everything that had been and I like their stuff that comes after. I don't like it near as much. And High
yeah.
Violet is great, but it is sort of like a preamble to Trouble Will Find Me. It feels like the perfect album. In fact, a couple of years ago, I dressed up as the album art for Halloween. Uh, this is a silly thing that my wife and I have done for Halloween is we usually try to find some weird little theme and we don't like go out or do anything. It's just for us. But a few years ago, during the pandemic, we were like, all right, let's dress up for Halloween. Let's dress up as our favorite albums. And so I uh, put a bunch of white pancake makeup on my face and I printed out a picture of my face and I just taped it. I cut it in half and taped it and then just laid on the floor. And yeah, I just thought that was pretty
That's
funny.
awesome. AJ, do you have anything you want to ask related to the national?
No, so what's really funny to me about this album in particular is it is the album that does kind of cut through the noise of the scene that they came from for me because I did like a lot of that New York scene.
Yeah,
Not so much the Strokes, but like Interpol, yeah, yeah, Yeahs, Elephant,
right,
like that post-punk version of that scene in many ways, like less the like sort of wannabe rock star punk
right,
rock version of it. But I think as much as I liked Mr. November off of Alligator and Mistaken for Strangers off of Boxer and stuff like that, like those were it kind of got lost in the noise of that scene. And then this
for
album
sure.
came out and I was like, "Oh, this sounds different." And like
Right.
this was the first, and I think I have some appreciation sooner, like for earlier stuff that kind of was like, oh yeah, the National. Yeah, I get it. Like
Yeah,
more,
yeah,
more. Like there were
yeah,
songs before that I liked, but like I said, it's kind of like kind of got lost and all that.
right,
This is the
exactly.
one that kind of separated them for me from that kind of indie post-punk scene out of New York. So I think it's funny, kind of
100%.
similar.
Yeah,
I think I
100%.
liked them. I liked them more and that scene more than you did, but I think we kind of had the same. This album had the same
Right, like they
effect on
kind
us.
of
And be
just
like,
felt kind of
oh,
like everybody else, and then this was like, oh, they're like totally doing their own thing now.
yeah. Um, on this album, what are your favorite tracks on this album?
Uh, I Should Live in Salt. I Need My Girl. Don't Swallow the
Mhm.
Cap. And Fireproof.
Ah, all right. We overlap
But
on Fireproof and I Need My Girl.
it's hard to pick. Oh, uh, really funny thing though. I didn't realize until about 10 years after this album came out. Uh, this is the only album because it has been my favorite album essentially since it came out. Um, that he has one song where he mentions the name Jennifer, which is my wife's name. He has one song where he mentions a guy named Joe, who is my best friend, the guy that officiated my wedding, who's been my best friend since college. And he mentions Dallas, Texas, which is where I was when all of this happens. I'm like, oh, this just feels like an album for me. Like this is an
Mm-hmm.
album that I didn't write that's about me. So I just
Mm-hmm.
think that's like a funny little detail.
Mm-hmm. It's neat. That is good coincidences.
Yeah.
Um, so I know there's some Rate Your Music nerds who listen to this. Shout out to Rain and Mark and any other Rate Your Music junkies out there like myself. This is their fourth highest rated album on Rate Your Music, which
Interesting.
blows
Wait,
my mind.
me too. Okay, wait. Can I guess the top three?
Yeah,
Okay. Um, okay. I don't know the demographic of Rate Your Music, but I'm gonna guess High Violet. Um, I don't know. I mean, it is it too easy to say High Violet, Boxer, and Alligator? I feel like those are the big ones.
that's
Are
the
those the
three.
three?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are the
Yeah.
three I would have guessed. Yeah.
Is it that order or is it a different order?
They're actually all really close. Let's see. I
Okay.
think Boxer is the highest. It is has an average of 3.75 out of 5 from over 17,000 ratings, which puts it at number 1,865 overall, or
Wow.
number 16 for 2007. Then I think I'm not sure which one would be next. Let's see. High Violet is number 26 for 2010, number 2,659 overall, with a 3.73 average out of 14,000.
Hmm.
And then Alligator has a 3.75 out of 11,000 plus ratings, number 32
Okay.
for the year 2005 and 2,448 overall. I know
Huh.
that's a lot of numbers, but
Huh. Okay.
uh,
Yeah, that's probably
Trouble,
where I feel like most national fans
yeah,
that tracks. But
Trouble Will Find Me, I think, has been
this is their
moving
best
up.
album. This is their best album though. Like
Yeah,
hands down.
I agree.
I agree.
It's rated as the 125th best album of 2013, which
Wow. I don't even
it's
know what
yeah.
else came out. Pink Print, the Nicki Minaj album came out that year, I think. I was listening to that a lot too.
Let's see what is number
Yeah, I got
one
my
for
2013 list
2013.
somewhere. Let's see what else came
Um,
out.
oh yeah, we've talked
Oh
about that,
yeah,
haven't
we've
we?
done this on on this show.
Number one on Rate Your Music for the year 2013 is Yeezus
Well,
by
okay.
Kanye. Uh,
Yeah, you know what? It was
Queens
a
of the
good
Stone
year.
Age. Yeah.
Yeah. Heartthrob, Tegan and
Okay.
Sara.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. It was a good year, but this was the best album of that year. I will brook
All
no
right.
arguments.
All right. So let's. Is that all you had, AJ? You got anything else on that?
I have a comment for later on that it
Okay.
covers several of the bands, so we'll wait for
Okay.
that.
All right. And then we asked you to pick three other favorite albums to put on the playlist. What is your first choice?
Um, okay, let me go back to my playlist. I had to put Plans.
Okay.
Uh, Death Cab for Cutie was the first band that sort of opened my mind uh to this kind of music because I had just gotten I like when this album came out, I had just like literally just gotten past the fact that like there were bands besides Newsboys and DC Talk, um, and Reliant K. And a friend burned me this CD, and I listened to it on the way to a youth retreat at 6 in the morning on a bus, hearing marching bands of Manhattan. I'm like, what is this? This is an album that I mean, I listened to this uh, pretty consistently, even through all of my nonsense and having a kid that listens to music on my Spotify and doing church names now and this show. Um, at least one song from Plans and one song from Trouble Will Find Me always make it into my Spotify uh, Wrapped at the end of the year. This is an album that I listen to consistently. I think it's all bangers except for Stable Song. I don't like Stable Song. Uh, I think the album
uh,
is better without it, but you know.
I like Stable Song. I told you all the one that kind of keeps it from being a perfect album for me.
Is it
Someday you will
Someday
be
You Will Be
loved.
Loved? Yeah, I was thinking about that today because I was listening to this. I told my wife that, and she thought you were crazy too. So
um, yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me, but it's still a decent song for me. But anyways, would you would you say that your enjoyment of this album at this point is mostly a nostalgic one, or is it just personal, as in it like it means a
hmm.
lot to you, like you're in tune with your preferences, or it says something deep about you, or could it be like a relational connection where you just have connections with people around this album?
Um, maybe all of the above.
Okay.
This is like I don't know. This is one of those albums that uh, came out almost 10 years before I met my wife. And so I had a whole relationship with this album before, but since meeting her, it's one that we put on every time we're on a road trip. It's like uh it's usually a like a toss up of what's going to be the first album that we listen to. It's either Plans or Trouble Will Find Me. Um and this one to me is the perfect fall album. Like the second the leaves start to turn, I'm like, yes, we're putting on Plans. We're mostly going to listen to Plans for like the back half of September.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think it's one that just like holds up musically. Like it's another one similar to Trouble Will Find Me. I think this is the quintessential Death Cab album. I think this is when everyone in that band was at the top of their game. I love all the stuff before. There's a lot after that I love, but I think this is the perfect uh like crystallization of what everyone in that band brings to it.
Some people are not going to like this, but I agree. It's better than transatlanticism.
Yes,
I
dude,
know
I get in so
that's
much trouble for that.
controversial, but
Yes, I know it is, but I'm yes, I'm right there with you. I think this is the best Death Cab album.
yeah.
AJ, are
I
you gonna
I
tell
agree
us?
with that. No, I
Oh
actually agree
wow.
with that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Uh, you got anything you want to ask about this album
Um,
or comments in general?
trying to think. The number of people when this album came out, because I liked Death Cab, starting with Transatlanticism is when I jumped on so like an album before, but that was a couple of years before. That when this came out, were like, have you heard this band? Have you heard this album? I think you would like it. If they didn't know I liked them, is something that like is burned in my head about this album for me. I was like, I don't know what that says, but a number of people at that time was like, this seems like a new album.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if that's something you relate to. I don't know if you've ever been described by a significant other as having a shy, apologetic demeanor like I did at this time when
Mm,
this album came out. But apparently, yes, that was reflected in in this album in particular. I do think that it's a different sound from Transatlanticism as well. Like it's more
yep.
focused.
Yep.
Um, you know, And I say that when I start breaking out my like top Death Cab songs, like my one of my favorites from them is "Sound of Settling," which sounds like nothing
Nothing
else
like
that
this.
they've
Yeah, yeah.
done.
Right.
And yet I'm like, yeah, this album they're like sounding like a coherent band and less indulgent. That first few
Mm,
albums I would say is a little pretentious and indulgent, and I say that as like a Smiths and Morrissey
100%.
fan.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I get a little bit better in Transatlanticism, and then it moves into this, which is coherent, and I think it
Right.
is their most coherent album, in my opinion.
100%.
Um,
100. Yep.
and so that's more observation, but I'm gonna ask the same question I kind of asked before too, of like, what are your favorite tracks on this album?
I mean, it's so hard to pick, but I think if I go back to my Death Cab top 10, um, what Sarah said and Brothers on a Hotel Bed, I mean, it's hard to pick between those. I mean, that just the 1-2 punch of having both of those songs so late in the album. Like it feels like a suite almost, right? Like you have what Sarah said, which is just a devastating song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you have Brothers on a Hotel Bed, which like musically I think is them at their best. Uh, but I mean also like I don't know, it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick beyond that because I was about to start listing ones, but I like them all for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Summer Skin is the first song that I learned on bass because that is one of the best bass lines of all time. That whole
Okay.
song is just bass.
Yeah.
Do 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 do
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, what are some of your favorites? And I want to see what's on my top 10 list. I think this is another
Um,
situation where like 50% is
yeah, I would have to say like I will follow you into the dark. Is one that jumps out to me.
yeah.
Um, Marching Band of Manhattan, because I think you were the first person to clock this, like my love of opening tracks on albums. Like when we started and having other conversations about music, I love a lot of openers,
Yeah, no.
and so I think that holds on here. Yeah, I think those two, and then like you said, what Sarah said and Brothers on a Hotel Bed are both really a solid 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
One of the things, and this kind of goes to what I didn't say about the National, and I actually think maybe I text you this. Death Cab for Cutie, particularly like this album and the National album, are usually the albums that if I'm like find myself listening to them a lot or feeling connected to them a lot, is the moment that I go, "Oh, I need to make a call to a professional right now because something is off."
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
they're
No,
my
they're my
my
like sad albums. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like, in a different way than other ones. I listen to like
Mhm.
a lot of kind of introspective music, but if it's one of those things of like, oh, that line that is not a pleasant line hits, it's one of those like
Yep.
it makes me pause. So I find it funny that two of your favorite albums
No, dude.
are albums that I love as well, but also two that I'm like, if I listen to it more than like one each of them like once in a week,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, I think I maybe need to go be in the sun for a little
A
while.
100%. I was having this conversation with my wife today because we were driving around and I was listening to this playlist just on shuffle.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and at first I asked her, I was like, okay, based on this playlist so far, would you say this is like a pretty accurate representation of my musical taste? She was like, yeah, 100%. And then we both sat there for a minute and I was like, man, I like a lot of really sad music, huh? And she was like, yeah, you do. That's like kind of one of your things.
Yeah, sad. Is that
Like,
was that somehow a new piece of information for you?
no, no, it
Because I
was
feel
just
like that's a
funny.
lot of mine too. It was like
Yeah.
I think we joke a lot about like sad female singers in
Mhm.
particular, but here we are talking about like sad white dudes. But
No,
yeah, a lot of overlap.
yeah, for sure.
And so yeah, I think that's a similar observation for mine. But yeah, those two albums in particular are ones that I'm like, uh-oh.
Yep.
I,
So beautiful albums, amazing albums, but maybe time to sit down and talk with
Yeah.
somebody.
I don't know how long we want to make this episode, but I have some thoughts too. But I mean, we should probably do whole episodes on these at some point if we do this long enough.
Mhm.
I will mention I didn't have this album as soon as it came out. And I was in O'Charlie's. People from the South may know O'Charlie's.
Mhm.
Just a bar and grill restaurant
Yeah.
type. But I'm in there waiting for my to-go order, and Your Heart Is an Empty Room comes on the speakers, and I didn't know the song at the time, but I went. It was before I had a computer in my pocket. I went home and Googled the lyrics, and was like, "Oh, okay, it's
Oh,
Death Cab for
nice.
Cutie," and I think that's what made me start seeking out this album,
That's great.
and
That's such a good
really
song.
acquiring it. Yeah. Um. All right, let's talk about your second album choice.
Oh, I don't even know what did I pick next. Oh, yeah, yeah. hmm Um, okay. I picked The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me by Brand New. Um, we specifically this last week, but we've talked a lot about the whole thing with Brand New, and I'm not in a
Right.
place where I want to like litigate that on mic.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
think we let people enjoy what they enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think uh, Eric, I think you said if you only consumed things by what was it? We
Yeah.
can
So
cut this too. If you only consume things by non-problematic people, you would starve or you'd
if
starve
I
in misery.
only consume things by that were made by people I agree with completely on political and
Yes.
religious matters, then I would be naked and hungry.
Yes, yeah, exactly, exactly. So I don't want to do that here. I just
No. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Brand New is huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
This album, I've talked about like we've talked about I think on the Patreon a lot of Church Jams now. We've talked a lot about uh the album from a band that comes out like the first album that comes out after you've become a fan. And that was this for me. I mean, Deja Entendu was huge for me, but then this album came out. I remember a friend of mine bought it for me for my 16th birthday. Um, and this has been uh, a huge album for me through like throughout my life. Like and it's one that continues to resonate with me even as I've gotten older. My viewpoints have changed, my musical taste has changed. And to go back, Eric, to your like relational question, this is another one that um uh one of the things that my wife and I like really connected on early on was that we both loved Brand New. And we both loved this album. And this is another one that we listen to a lot. Um, we've both, we've seen Brand New together live twice. It's the only band that we've seen live together multiple times. It means a lot to us. And this album, I mean, this and um, I'm Like a Virgin Losing a Child by Manchester Orchestra both kind of came at a time where it's like I'm I was like starting to question a lot of things like faith wise, and these were really big albums for me because it was like I it gave me something that I wasn't seeing in a lot of the other stuff that I was consuming, right? Like it was like here's someone that like really seems to be struggling with a lot of these like religious and theological questions in a really honest way. Um, and that's something that I've continued to do throughout my entire life, which is why I think it continues to resonate with me.
What would you say if hypothetically somebody said that Brand New is Baby's first indie rock band? Do you have any thoughts on that totally random
Okay, okay.
quote?
Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna bleep all of this out because I have so many expletives that I want to
You
say.
don't
I'm
want
just
to. You don't
like,
want to do beef.
I might. I'm already beefing with all the Jars fans this week anyway, and so man, baby's first indie rock, that is just insane. That's just an insane take. An absolutely wild take. No, the thing about brand new is like so many other like kind of like the thing we were saying with the National, like they started out in a very specific scene and they kind of just sounded like everybody else. And I have a lot of nostalgia for that first album. Um, I don't think it's great, like musically. And then they like turned into a band uh, it's very obvious on like Deja Entendu specifically that Jesse Lacey is a big Morrissey fan and wants to be Morrissey a little bit. He's like little baby Morrissey Jr. Um, but I think they what I really enjoyed about following this band is like they always seem to like they never seem to hold people's hands, right? Like they seem to always with every album go in the direction that they wanted to go in and trusted that their fans would get it. Um, and I don't think a lot of bands do it to that extent. There's often in the conversation with brand new, like you have to talk about Taking Back Sunday. And I feel like they are two sides of that coin of like they kind of started in the same place and branched off. And Taking Back Sunday, I do feel like sort of chased commercial success to a certain extent. And uh, Brand New just kind of did what they wanted to do. And I really respect that artistically. Uh, that they didn't hold your hand. They weren't like, well, here's our one catchy pop single, and then here's our weird thing. It's just like, oh no, we're just gonna do all weird stuff because we like
Right.
this.
And since we were talking about Rate Your Music earlier, this album is rated as the 639th best album of all time on Rate Your Music.
Of
So,
all time.
yep,
Wow. Okay, that actually
639.
does answer my earlier question about Rate Your Music's demographics.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty all over the place, I
Oh.
think.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, number seven for 2006. So a pretty loaded year for the seventh album of that year to
Yeah.
also be 639th, I think. Um, AJ, you got anything on that?
Not really. I think they're like their element in this and Deja, right? Like between those two albums, that's 80% of my top 10. Like is I think each of
Yeah.
those has like four tracks on my top 10, and then Fork and Knife and I'm a Nightmare. Um, out of nowhere. And so yeah, for me, this like those two are albums that
Hmm.
afterwards, I think they got off the tracks a little bit for me.
Hmm.
Until I Am a Nightmare, I think. And maybe like the Fork and Knife is after this, I think as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was the two good runs. I think this is again like the peak them, kind of similar to Death Cab
Yeah.
is right. Though I think I have stronger affinity for Death Cab after that album. But for me, it just kind of like doesn't hit as much. But also
Yeah.
like Brand New is a band that that scene that they came out of, I could not stand a lot of the people in my life that were in that scene, and
Hmm.
because of that, I actually like got into Brand New after. Like it was not live for me. It was 2010 maybe,
Yeah.
something like that, because I had to be away from those people. There are other bands that we'll have
Right.
other conversations of that it's like this, like, no, they're a great band. Just people I was around that listened to them garbage human beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I don't think they picked up on some of the lessons that they could have drawn from this album and
I get that. Yeah.
whatnot. And so, but it's taking back Sundays of Bandits in it for me too. Like that scene that you're talking about of just like, yeah, I'm not gonna like any of the bands that come out of it. It's like, oh no, there's some good stuff that came out of it. This came out
Right.
of that
Right.
scene. Um, but no, it's a good album, man. It is.
Eric, how do you feel about it?
Um, I enjoy the album. I think I slightly prefer Deja on Tendu. I was thinking about that a little bit while listening. It's close though. Like I think they're both like they would both be, you know, neck and neck
Yeah.
for my favorite. I'd have to really dig in and analyze them closely and do my track scores for every track and all that to
Well,
really determine.
maybe you should do that whenever the lost Church James Now episode of Devil and God comes out.
Oh, I will have to do that. I was just thinking it's kind of wild that for the National and Death Cab, we all agree on the best album, and that
Mhm.
album is also not the most universally
Right.
beloved by that artist.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
Well,
true.
we're right.
but
Everybody else is wrong. It's
That's
fine.
right.
but yeah, because I was thinking we might. I think I slightly enjoyed Deja without going too far into it. But I mean, yeah, the songwriting on this album's great. It's uh, the the lyrics are obviously very meaningful for a lot of people. Um, so yeah, it's
Yeah.
quality
I
album.
mean, I mean, uh, Jesus Christ was just huge, I feel like.
Yes.
And but fun fact, Archers is my favorite brand new song of all time. It is the number one on my top 10
Interesting.
brand new list.
Oh, I
You
think the
know,
Gosser is my favorite song on this album.
Nice. It's so good.
Yeah,
see, I
of
think
the
Jesus
three.
Christ is the first track that I heard like that when I was willing to give them a shot that I heard that I was like, yep, this
Yeah.
is this
Yeah.
is that. Yeah, I think that is an incredibly thoughtful Christian song from a non-Christian band,
Mm-hmm. 100%.
All
which
right,
is yeah.
let's talk about your third album choice,
Ooh.
Kylan.
All right. I feel like AJ might have a lot to say. The Con by Tegan and Sara. Had to have some Tegan and Sara representation on this list. Um, so they kind of fall into this similar place that Death Cab does, where I'm not connecting as much with their newer stuff. But AJ and I have had a whole conversation about this band on our 5x5, which will come out eventually. It's a show that we're doing about esoteric bands that we don't get to talk about with other people. Uh, the Con is another one of those, like Devil and God, the first album by a band after you became a fan. So I became a fan of Tegan and Sara after So Jealous, and then the Con came out uh, in 2007, and I bought the CD day of at Best Buy. Uh, and to speak to the Death Cab connection, Jason McGurr from Death Cab played drums on this entire album, and Chris Walla from Death Cab produced it. Um, I once again, I think this is peak Tegan and Sara. They've gone through a couple different phases.
Hmm.
This to me feels like uh, taking the like acoustic songwriter start that they had and getting a little weird with it. This album has a bunch of weird stuff on it, but some of my absolute favorite Tegan and Sara songs and moments. Specifically, 19, which is my favorite Tegan and Sara song. Eric, are you familiar with this album at all? I've talked to AJ a
Yeah,
lot about it, but
yeah, it's one that I listened to at some point when I was just digesting all the music I could and enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't quite hold it in the same esteem as you guys do, but it's a good album. I actually prefer Heartthrob, but
I
but
think AJ does too.
I do enjoy this one.
Yeah.
Um,
Look, he wants to talk. Let's just let him talk. He
Go
wants
ahead,
to.
AJ.
So this is my favorite Tegan and Sara album overall, right? I have some of my favorite songs from Tegan and Sara are on Heartthrob. I think that has the most of my favorite songs, but it's more hit or miss for me.
Right.
I didn't choose this for my I hearing me because I was also trying to get like another genre of music in with an album that allowed me to kind of scratch, do two things at once, and I don't want to spoil it, but take a guess. But like back in your head, spoiler or preview of our 5x5 conversation. This is like really meaningful to my wife and I. Like
Yeah.
fairly early on in our relationship, we kind of had one of those moments that I wasn't sure if we were going to continue or not, and I used back in back in your head as a segue
Nice.
on that. Yeah, clever on my part. But like I love this album. Yeah, like and I think it's similar for kind of what you were saying where like The Con was the f first album after So Jealous,
Mm.
which is I got into them during that time. And it felt very I felt very seen by this album at the time that it came out.
Yep. Yep.
So it is very much my favorite album from them. Um, though, like I said, Heartthrob, I have more songs from in my top 10, but it's so good. Like I said, they went to a kind of new place with it.
Hmm.
And it is introspective and it is angsty and all the stuff I love about music, and it's two kick-ass queer women. So like no kidding, I'm gonna like this album. But like it's just
Right.
hilarious that like I've liked them for like 20 something 20 years
Right.
now.
Yeah.
So like teenage me agreed with that position as well. But no, such a good album. 19 and Back in Your Head I think are the two favorites on
Yeah.
here. But yeah,
So good.
yes.
This is their highest rated album on Rate Your Music.
Interesting. It's a
Um,
good album. Everyone
yeah.
should listen to it. Everyone
Hot
watching
take,
or
hot
listening to
take.
this. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to songs.
Okay.
I guess the easiest way to do this is you talk about each song and just kind of give a
Yeah.
brief reason why you like it. Just
For sure.
run
Yeah.
down your
This
list. All
this
right.
this seems pretty straightforward. Okay. First I put Hunt You Down by Kesha. Okay, I couldn't do a list like this without putting a Kesha song. I host In Defense of Kesha, where me and my friend Valentine Hellman bring people on to try to get them to like Kesha the way that we do. So I like a lot of pop music. There's something about Kesha that just really connects with me. Um, and I think a lot of people don't understand her sense of humor in her songwriting. Um, but I'm also a really big country fan, which we'll get into later on this list. So this is my number one favorite Kesha song of all time. It's hard. I don't think I could ever put a full Kesha album in like my favorite albums of all time list. So it felt right to represent her here within a song. But this song does everything that I love from her. The lyrics are super funny. They're a little messed up. It's a little dark. She says, I've never buried a body, never killed no one. But if you mess around, boy, I'll hunt you down. I think that's just super funny. And in the tradition of uh, classic female country songs, uh, yeah, I mean, it's great. I don't know. Do you guys like this song at all? It's okay
Yeah,
if not. I won't be
I was
offended.
thinking I was thinking I actually like the song more than the song you all picked for me for on In Defense of Kesha. But
Dang it.
that
Dang
one
it.
was that one was definitely more my style and my taste.
Right.
Like, but I like this. I think I like this song a little
Okay.
more.
All
Just
right.
kind of funny.
Right. It's like a fun uh
Yeah, I
country
didn't
song.
expect a country song from her.
Well, no one does. This is okay,
Yeah.
listen, this is about to turn into In Defense of Kesha. She, yeah, her mom is a famous like country songwriter. She like grew
Okay.
up in Nashville, like around like like in the studio with Dolly Parton and stuff. Like she's got some country chops
Yeah.
for sure.
It's very much like, Miranda Lambert's angry songs. It
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
exactly.
reminds me of that, which I like.
AJ, do
Um,
you like this song? Our friendship depends on it.
I'm withholding all public comments on Kesha until you have me on that show.
Fine. But okay, all right. That's valid. Okay, so then next I picked, it had to come right after everything I just said about Kesha. Loretta Lynn, Don't Come Home a Drinkin' with Lovin' on Your Mind. Um, this was kind of a hard spot for me to pick because I wanted to, because the idea of this, right, is to like get a pretty good sense of someone's
Hmm.
musical taste.
yeah.
Um, and I had a lot of just like sad music from the mid 2000s, right? As like my albums, like for the first part of this. Um, I love a lot of old classic country music. So there are a lot of honorable mentions for kind of this spot. Um, but I had to pick this song because similar to Hunt You Down, I think this song is really funny. Uh, and I love, 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 love Loretta Lynn. Uh, because she is one of those women that always spoke her mind. And I know for a fact because I've read two books of hers. This came from a really honest place. Uh, and I just love when someone writes with such specificity that it kind of becomes universal. And it to me like this has like everything production wise that I love about old country. You've got like the steel guitar, you've got the walking bass, uh, but you have her just like really crushing it with the lyrics. Don't come home a drinking with loving on your mind. Like you can go do your thing, but don't expect me to like cater to that. Which honestly was like really revolutionary and like punk rock for women in the 60s. So this song is a much more political song than I think people realize. It feels almost quaint at this point. Um, but I like that it's like it's not dirty, but there's like, there's some double entendre in there and Loretta Lynn is just the best. I she's my favorite.
She's a Kentucky native, so I always,
That's right.
root extra hard for we don't have the richest musical heritage. I don't think so.
What are you
Any
talking about? I mean, you got bluegrass. Like
Yeah,
Kentucky
but
bluegrass is like
ask 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 somebody, in
oh,
most of the country to tell you a bluegrass artist, and they probably could not. So,
yeah.
um,
All right. Well, everyone go listen to Loretta Lynn. It was a toss up between this and Fist City, which is another one of my favorite Loretta Lynn songs, which is also very funny. Because it's like the anti Jolene. She says uh, she's basically singing to someone that her husband cheated on her with. and she says she'll take her to Fist City. Uh, yeah, and she says he takes out the trash, he puts it in a garbage can, and that's what you look like to me. And it's like, dude, it was
Oh,
like the
jeez.
first like diss track. It's so great. It's so great.
All right, what else you got?
Hold on,
Okay.
real quick. I'm going to point
Oh,
out
sorry.
that Eric disrespecting, Kentucky music there means he disrespected Jameson Parker because one half of
Oh
that is
man.
from, and like, I don't know if the friendship can continue now.
I
Uh,
just said I'm just saying, like Kentucky is not known for its musicians.
yeah.
You know,
But at least you guys still have the fried chicken. Oh wait.
yeah, we have fried chicken, bourbon, and basketball. That's
Yeah.
about
And
horse
Andy
race,
Right.
horse
Bashir,
racing.
okay?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, next I put A Better Son slash Daughter by Rilo Kiley. Okay. Um, Rilo Kiley is one of those bands that I always say, like, they're one of my favorites that I always forget about. But this song, okay, this is one of those songs that, do you guys ever have those songs that it feels like someone literally just observed your life and got inside your brain and put it to music? Because that's this song for
Yeah.
me. Every single thing about it feels uh like I wrote it. Specifically someone with like anxiety and depression and being a musician. Um Jenny Lewis has a couple lyrics. Specifically, I'll bleep this out. And sometimes when you're on, you're really fucking on, and your friends, they sing along and they love you. But the lows are so extreme that the good seems fucking cheap, and it teases you for weeks in its absence. But you'll fight and you'll make it through. You'll fake it if you have to. You'll show up for work with a smile. You'll be better. You'll be smarter, more grown up, and a better daughter or son, and a real good friend. Like, that is something that hits me consistently throughout my life. Like it feels like this song was written about me for me.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, and specifically as someone that has those like big mood swings, like every time I hear that, I think specifically of like 2012 when I'm like playing music consistently and I'm like playing a show at the coffee shop that I worked at and it's packed out, but it's all friends of mine, and everyone is singing along to songs that I wrote. Like, I think of that moment specifically, and then it says, but the lows are so extreme that the good seems cheap. Uh, I've been there a lot. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that song is just like it is a really big song for me because it's one of those things like, oh, someone else gets it. I don't feel so alone, which I think is
Right.
kind of the point of the song too. So,
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't have any specific questions about that one. You got anything, AJ?
No, but Rilo Kiley is for me similar to you, where you're like, oh yeah, I forget that I like them. Like
right,
nobody, like, I'll never list them as like a top 10 favorite band. And then I listen to Rilo Kiley, I'm like, ah, it's so good. Or even Jenny
right.
Lewis's like solo stuff. It's like, oh, this is
Yes,
so
exactly.
good.
Yeah,
Um, and I forget about them, so I can relate to that. But yeah, it's a good track.
yeah. All right, next I have The Seduction from He Is Legend, first track on I Am Hollywood. Um, I mean, I had to put something heavier on here. Uh, I was trying to pick like what's like a metalcore kind of song that I love. And I mean, this, like, no question, like everything about this is perfect.
So good.
Uh, I think I spent the entire Church Hymns Now episode about this album just being like, this is so good. Like it's just, I love it. It's a good party song. Yeah.
I got to.
This. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I got to see them play this whole album live at Furnace Fest last year. It was that was one of my favorite sets.
Ah, that's so good. I've been trying to get Skylar on our show for like 2.5 years, and he keeps balking because we have church in
Uh,
the name. He's like, "We're
uh,
not associated with any religion." I'm like, "That's not the show." It's like,
you
I
you
get it. I get
were
it.
even if you
Yeah,
didn't want to be,
yeah,
you were
exactly.
associated with a
I
religion.
get it. But like, you just come on the show. We just want to talk music.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's fun. It's really upbeat, poppy, but then it's got those like really like death metal screams in there.
yeah, it's such a fun song.
It
Um,
really is.
and also one of the loudest songs. Like the, I don't know if that's the mixing on that or
Yeah,
what, but it was definitely like loudness wars.
a hundred
You
percent.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
like when I had my iPod, I would like shuffle my favorite songs, and every time a song from this album comes on, it's like twice as loud as the song that I was listening to
Yeah.
before.
Oh, it's so good. It's so
But
good though.
it
You
at
want
least
it loud
at
though.
least
It's got to
yeah,
be
at least
loud.
it right. It's appropriate for that, I think.
Yep.
Um, all right, what else you got?
All right, wait, I have two more or three more. Wait, one,
You
two,
have three
three,
more.
four. Oh, three more. Got it. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put Angel from Montgomery, by Bonnie Raitt. Gotta go back to the country. So this was actually written by John Prine, who's one of my favorite songwriters of all time. I like his version of the song, but Bonnie Raitt's version is like the quintessential version. Um, the band on this song is like so tight. It's perfect. And I really don't have much to say about it, except I think this is just a perfect song.
Yeah, it's a nice song. Uh, Someone randomly told my mom that she looked like Bonnie Raitt the other day, apparently, which
Oh, really?
was I thought was fitting considering I knew that a song was coming
Oh,
up
that's
on your
great.
playlist
That's
from her.
great.
It's like
That's so
interesting
good.
timing. Yeah, yeah, this is a good song.
Yeah, I mean I don't know what else to say. Like, do you guys have anything to
Yeah,
say about it? It's just like it's just a great song.
yeah,
Like
that's
it's kind of the blueprint for a lot of like not country, but that like specific kind of like alternative country,
yeah,
Americana kind of thing that comes like 20, 30 years later. Like I
right,
feel like Jason Isbell, Tyler Childers,
yeah,
Drive-By
This sounds like a
Truckers,
Ryan
like
Adams song, like
Ryan Adams.
musically.
Yeah, all
yeah,
of that. Like this is sort of the blueprint for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
yeah,
So,
for sure. Yeah. All right, what else you got?
all right, I have two more. My last minute swap in, None Shall Pass by Aesop Rock. Did you guys listen to this today?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I love the beat. The
Yeah,
Okay,
this is a
yeah,
good song.
yeah, it's really
it's
good.
so good. This whole album, honestly, I started listening to this again and I listened to the entire album and I almost swapped out one of my albums for this. This
Oh
whole
wow.
album is just bangers, dude. Um, this song and this album was my introduction to hip hop. Until this came out, I was very much that guy that's like, oh, I love all music except for country and hip hop.
Yeah.
Um, but this album like completely just like changed everything for me. And actually, um, a friend of mine, Jonathan Clark, who we were texting about, who did the Further Seems Forever episode, he's the one that introduced me to this album. He was my guitar teacher, and he was like, "Hey, you should check this out." And I was like, "I don't like rap." He's like, "Just listen to it." And it blew my mind. The production on this entire album is absolutely perfect. His flow is so good. Um, and it's what got me interested in rap and hip hop. Because I pretty quickly after this came out, uh, listened to this and then started listening to like Wu-Tang Clan, Ghostface Killer, because like up to then, like my idea of what rap was very like West Coast centric and the pop stuff. So like Nelly, and like California Love and stuff like that. I was like, I don't like this. And then this was very much like East Coast rap influenced. So then I was like, oh wait, no, this can actually like this is really good. And then it was like a 1-2 punch of like I started listening to this album and then a friend of mine had a ticket, invited me to go see Atmosphere live. Do you guys know what
Mhm.
Atmosphere?
Yep.
I had no idea who or what Atmosphere was. I thought it was like an Explosions in the Sky, Appleseed Cast esque ambient indie rock band. I was like, sure, I'll go see this band Atmosphere. Went to go see Atmosphere live, and I was like, what is this? In like a club in South Florida, blew my mind. Anyway, everyone should listen to None Shall Pass by A$AP Rock. I think this is his best album. So I had to get a little bit
This
of like hip hop representation on my list too.
right. Uh, this song on Rate Your Music is ranked as the 945th best song of all time.
Wow, it breaks the top 1,000.
Yep, number 16 for 2007.
That is interesting. Yeah, well, everyone should go listen to this album too.
Yep.
Okay,
All right, last song.
my last one. I wanted to save this for last, because this is a big one for me. Um, Brian Wilson by Bare Naked Ladies. I'm just gonna listen to a little bit of it. Okay, Bare Naked Ladies for me. Uh, Obviously, my introduction to them was 1 week, as it was for like a lot of people. Um, but this album that this is on, their first album, Gordon, and specifically this song, Brian Wilson, is 100% uh, a relational uh, listen for me. It's my dad's favorite.
Mm.
Uh, my dad, I didn't realize my dad has like weird taste in music until I was in high school. Um, but he had this album in his car and we would always listen to it driving around. And this was his favorite song. And it became my favorite song because um like I didn't really have a relationship with my dad. Like my parents weren't like my parents didn't get divorced until I turned 30. But like my dad wasn't really around for most of my childhood. Like he was working a lot. And um we didn't really connect until I like became a teenager. Like I didn't realize my dad was funny. I didn't really know anything about my dad. Um, but this is apparently like his favorite album of all time. And we would listen to it and go get snow cones and we would just blast the hell out of this song. Like turn it all the way up, windows down. But this is so funny. Like it was still at this point in like our relationship and his relationship with like Christianity and pop culture and all this stuff. Uh, he would turn it down because he says the word hell in this song. He says "What the hell," and he
That's
would
totally
always
something I would do if I'm
like
listening to it in the car
like
with my
he
kids.
would turn it out just for that one word, right? But I'm like 14, 15 at this point. I was just like,
Okay.
so funny, right? Like I wasn't a like small child.
Right.
But um I ended up because I knew my dad loved this song, I ended up loving it too. Like I love the vibe of it. I love the content of it. Like I love uh the perspective of the songwriting. Like I'm lying in bed like Brian Wilson and then all the Beach Boys references and stuff like um that actually the very first live show that I ever played, I learned how to play this song without telling anybody. And I played it just for my dad.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and so it's like it's been a thing, and I love this whole album. And the thing is, like most people think of Bare Naked Ladies like kind of a one-hit wonder, and they kind of are. But this whole album, Gordon, is great. It's weird, it's silly, lots of sound effects for an album, like too many sound effects. But this song just it every time I hear it, I'm transported back to riding in a, a Jeep Grand Cherokee with my dad, being 14 years old. I know the specific road that we're on. It's 100 degrees. We're going to get snow cones. The sun is out. Like, no matter when I listen to this song, I always think of that moment. And that's always like really special to me. Um, so, for that reason, I will forgive the bongos on this song. This is a bongo heavy song, and I have to get ahead of it now. I know I'm the anti bongo guy. This song is so many bongos, but this is an exception for me.
The bongos are no match for a relational favorite. So
That's right.
there you go.
That's the truth.
Uh, if I had
think
that
No,
that
$1 million, also on this album, which is
yeah,
you also got to hear that song if you haven't heard it.
yep. Yeah, so I'm curious because I have so much nostalgia associated with the song. I'm so curious what is y'all's perspective of this song? And it's totally okay if it's like, yeah, it's just fine.
No, I like the song. I had like a Bare Naked Ladies like hits album or something. Probably one of the first things I probably found when I used to bargain hunt for
Yeah.
CDs back in the day. So yeah, I knew all their bigger songs, and this was one of them. And yeah, I enjoy it. It's not one I ever like seek out to play,
Yeah.
but if it comes on or whatever, like yeah I enjoy it.
I hadn't heard it before, so I thought it was really great, and I was really curious. I was gonna ask, like, what's the deal with this one? Because it feels
Yeah.
so almost out
It's
of
so
left
different.
field.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that I was gonna ask, and then you tell that really beautiful story, man. Which is super cool. I love stories like that. Because music does connect us. And I think
Mhm.
about that in the context. I think I jokingly kind of text you guys about this of like, are kids going to like learn more about us through this show and our takes on music
Right.
and stuff like that. And so like the ability of music to bond us together and like reveal something about somebody is really I think a great thing about it. So that's super neat to me. So thanks for sharing that, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, that is all of your Hear You Me. That is Hear
Listen,
You Kylan.
hear you me. This is a wild playlist if anyone wants to listen to it.
Uh, thanks for doing that. I know it can be kind of a intense exercise, but
It is, but it was fun.
hopefully it's also fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Um, I want to shout out to my Patreon subscribers. Shout out to WoW Tier patrons Phil Stessison and Tim Rogers, and Seltzer Tier patron Michael Porter. Um, I guess that pretty much does it for the show. Y'all got anything else you want to add
Are
before we
we
go?
are we gonna do one good thing or no?
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't prepare one, but we can do that. Um,
Well, my one good thing is literally uh, doing this recording. I've had a rough week, so
oh no.
I appreciate this show as an
Oh,
opportunity to hang out with my friends and talk about music. So, and
yeah.
thank you for letting me pontificate.
Oh, I'm really enjoying these episodes. I don't know if there's fun for participants and for people to listen to, but I'm
Sweet.
really enjoying exploring these things with people. Um, yeah, let's see. My one good thing this week. You got anything, AJ? While I think on it.
No, I mean it's actually quite similar to Kylan's, right? Like I jumped on randomly with Caleb the Spy, friend of the show, who was just on recently, without like any planning, and talked with him for an hour last night. And I'm talking with you guys tonight. I'm very thankful for the like community that we have formed because
Yeah.
it does get us through those rough weeks. And so yeah, I think my one good thing is the community we formed, you guys, Caleb, and all the other folks that are involved in it. I'm very thankful
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, that did remind me. My one good thing is CCM tournament 2025 kicked off. Second
Yeah.
round seems to be going uh, much better than the first did. Um, and yeah, it's a good reminder. And AJ sent a nice message reminding me of this too. But like that, you know, God used that really in my life to play a part in me connecting with people who I love dearly now. You know, 3 years ago,
Yeah.
It's wild.
and
It is wild.
it
That was the first one was 3 years ago.
it's crazy, but like it. I mean, I had plenty of close friends music to talk music with then, but like it just exploded into like I don't know, like almost every like person that I interact with regularly on there, it's like I get certain things, I hear a certain song or think a certain thing, and it makes me think of all these different people now. Where it used to be such a smaller circle, but it's just cool to have to. You just feel a lot less alone, I think,
Yeah.
having this
Definitely.
connection, and it's really made me sad the whole thing that's happening with people leaving Twitter and everything. Like I understand that some people just feel like they can't be a part of it
Yeah.
anymore. But um, I will always be grateful for the part that it played in honestly making my life richer and fuller
Yeah.
than it was without it. So
100%.
yeah. So let's shout out the queen who is in some trouble in CCM
Oh,
tournament
I know. It's going to
as
be a
we're recording this.
travesty.
Yeah, that could very easily be a travesty. Amy Grant going up against Keith Green right now
Ooh,
as we record this, and it is within a like 2%, 1 or 2%, I think.
that's crazy.
So yeah. Uh, so until next time, Amy Grant.
Amy Grant.